What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Uh, Today we're going to continue with our BasedAI white paper. Okay, we're trying to digest what the white paper is saying, and so we're going to cover another little section of it. But before continuing, guys, I just want to acknowledge this. So, this is a Pepecoin fam. Dankor, hope I'm not killing your 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 name here. And so I guess his son had been sick or something, and I had no idea this was going on. I went into the Telegram uh, this morning, and I'm like just scrolling, what's going on the last 24 hours, and I found that it was like people talking about buying somebody's paints and stuff like that. And I was like, what's happening over here? And found out that it was somebody's son that was sick. And, when I came to Twitter, I saw Denker, he had posted this, and I was like, oh, it must have been him, it must have been his son. So I don't know how many projects are out there that have such a community like this, guys. This is, I don't know, as a Christian person myself, seeing the community rallying this way to help out, okay, one of their own, it is extremely admirable, to say the least. And so I think he had like a whole bunch of Pepe art that he had made, and the community just rallied around, man, and they just bought everything practically. And this was his message here, his tweet. Thank you to the Pepecoin fam for supporting and taking care of my son. This is unprecedented, honestly. I like I said, I've been in crypto for some time, and I have, honestly, I can say I have not seen this before. So this is my investment in Pepecoin. Just with this alone has been worth it. So, Denker, just want to say, as a fellow puppet coiner myself, that I will be praying for your son, that the God of heaven may restore his health. So, um, yeah, just wanted to say that, man. Definitely keeping you, your son, and your family in my prayers. So, feel good situation here, guys, coming from this amazing community. And so we left off yesterday here, right? And we looked at this chart. There is an incentive, right, for validators to diversify, okay, their staked amounts. So like that, new brain owners can actually benefit from this. And so today we're gonna go into this example fiscal yield, and we're gonna run through some stuff here, and then yeah, we might even go crazy, guys, over here. Um, Hopefully, we can cover that as well. So here in the white paper, they use this illustrative example, right? And it says, let us consider a validator staking 100 based on brain number two. This validator cannot replicate the same stake on brain 11. Okay, so he cannot, whatever he's staking on brain 2, he cannot stake on brain 11. It requires a different stake. Okay, so it has to be other tokens that need to be, or other coins that need to be staked on the other brain. Okay, under this system, it is projected that validators might achieve an annual percentage yield, APY, ranging between 15% to 26% in the form of base. Okay, so of course everything is paid out in base tokens, and um, so it's going to be somewhere between 15% and 26%. A yield contingent upon the brain's performances. Okay, so the yield depends on, okay, the performance of each brain and the specific incentive configuration by the brain owner. So again, going back to what we said yesterday, that there's going to be a predetermined, and it's almost like a setting, right? That's going to be predetermined, 75% for miners and validators, 25% for owners, but brain owners can, adjust that accordingly. So now, if you are a brain owner and you have your own mining equipment and your validators and all that, then, at that point, it's 100%, right? So technically. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense, guys. If you have any questions, let me know. But again, this is all for illustration purposes, right? That they put this example here. Cool. And so median emission expectations. So from a broader perspective, the top 50% of brains can anticipate approximately 19% APY on average. It's actually very, 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 very nice percentage, guys. That is really, really nice. That's crazy. That's almost 20%. So, extrapolated over an annual period. Okay, so here it gives us another example. A 10,000 base stake in a performing brain could manifest as 11,900 base. So at the end of the annual period, okay, this 10,000 base tokens will show as 11,900 because in that time it accrued an emission of 1,900 base. Now, 1,900 base, people are like, boring. Like, who wants to go ahead and dedicate so many base tokens to just get 1,900? But let me remind you, because it is always really nice to put some dollar signs behind our investments, okay? Like that, it can actually give us uh, a bit of an idea of whether it is a good idea or not to invest. And so, again, just want to clarify. This is not financial advice, guys. I'm just showing you some example that hopefully can click somewhere in our brains and be like, oh, man, I didn't see it that way. Now that makes sense. And I will take this moment to just say, if you like this content, guys, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. It does help the algorithm get this information out. And we want this information out so we can help onboard as many people as possible after they do their own research and find out, man, based AI is the way to go. In that process, you guys will also find that Pepecoin is also the way to go. All right, so now that the commercial is over, let's continue. So let's say you only get, okay, 1,900 base. Okay, now remember, this is going to be split, if I'm not mistaken, this ought to be split between the brain owners and the miners and validators. So even if you take this, right, and let's say it's just, I don't know, the brain owner gets 40% of this. So let's go get our calculator and it's always nice to just see the numbers. So we got 1900 times 40%. And so so the brain owner will get 760 tokens, right? But if we go ahead and let's assume, right, that, I mean, this is really kind of like on my lower end, almost like a bearish prediction of base. Let's say it just goes up to $80. Would you guys be okay having a passive $61,000, okay, in a year? Boy, I tell you, I would take this in a heartbeat, okay? In a heartbeat. And this is only in a small production, right? That we see here. This is this 10,000 base. So the more that it's in this particular brain, right, that's being staked, then the more this is going to perform. You know, but and again, it's a 40% out of this. So, the brain and miners are gonna get, what, like an 85,000 in the year, which is, I mean, it's very, very lucrative, guys. It's really, really nice. And that's just right looking at this, like I said, looking at this number. So meaning that if the amount of stakes, right, increases, then of course we're looking at this number to increase quite, quite a bit as well. So just keep that in mind. What else? All right. So here, the mitigation of centralization risk. Boom. This is very important. Okay. Okay. So this is a risk, right, of potentially becoming centralized. And so the devs thought about this and said, shoot, we don't want to be another uh, open AI situation, right? Another chat GPT. And so to hinder the potential centralization akin to oligarchy dominance, a cap is instituted on brain rewards, limiting allowable stakes to a maximum of 0.5% of the aggregate network stake in base. This measure disperses the incentive fairly while allowing for a certain level of accessibility and brain ownership and validating activities while curtailing the propensity to stake disproportionately in any single brain. Whoa, what does that mean? So BasedAI has implemented a cap, okay, on the rewards that a brain can receive, which limits the maximum amount of stakes in any single brain to 0.5% of the total network stake in base tokens. This cap is designed to prevent the centralization of power and resources, similar to an oligarchy, right? That's what it's saying, where a few entities could dominate the network. So if you guys think about it, it's the same thing as Bitcoin, right? That's why nobody wants, let's say, for example, BlackRock to own at 51% of Bitcoin, because then the power is shift and then they make all the demands, right? It's like the dollar, all the power went to the dollar, and then the dollar was weaponized. The same thing could be done in any other project. And so the devs thought about this and it was like, man, we got to find a way how we can incentivize, okay, for this not to be the case, and and there's a better and a better incentive, you know, to make sure that the there is a more proportionate amount of of resources in different brains than in just two or three. um, by limiting how much can be staked in one brain, this measure ensures that incentives are distributed more fairly across the network. It's what I was saying. It also makes brain ownership and validation activities more accessible to a broader group of us. This makes it much appealing to the regular folks like me and you to participate in this, right? Because it's more of a uh, it's more of a fair, you don't have like two or three people that have a whole bunch of money and a whole bunch of tokens, and they're the ones that are just, sucking all the air out of the room. And the way that this is set up, it helps distribute that air in the room so that everybody could get a good portion of it, and you actually have a thriving environment. It incentivizes that, by making the brain ownership and the validation activities more accessible to a broader group of participants, preventing any one brain from receiving a disproportionately large share of the network's resources, which I just mentioned. This helps maintain a decentralized and balanced ecosystem. The more that I read this white paper and go through it, the more that I'm like, yo, these guys, just when you think, you read something, you're like, holy smoke, they actually thought about that. You read something else, you're like, oh my, they thought about that. I mean, this just shows, okay, how well rounded they thought about doing this project. All right, let's go crazy right here and let's try to. I'm not gonna read all this stuff because this is just absolutely madness. I started seeing these symbols and I was like, okay, it like gave me nightmares. I was thinking about calculus and stuff, and I was like, yo, all right, let's. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna just keep things simple and let's ask ChatGPT. So I asked ChatGPT and I told her, listen, just tell me this thing like I'm a 10-year-old, okay? Keep it simple. And so what this is talking about here is that BasedAI needs to adjust the way it understands and uses intelligence so that it works well with machine learning. This involves treating intelligence as a function that can make decisions based on input data and how valuable that data is to the network. You guys catch that? This involves treating intelligence as a function. Intelligence as a function, okay? Something that can be like an input that can make decisions based on those input data and how valuable the data is to the network. So it's constantly trying to evaluate, okay, so it's getting this information, right? This intelligence, it's getting this input. And then at the same time, it's trying to figure out, okay, how valuable is this, okay, to the network? And it is like a organic mechanism. It's just continually learning and getting better at doing that, learning, because at the end of the day, the whole purpose of base AI is that it wants to spit out the right information, the most accurate, truthful, I guess you could say, information. However, this is not the same as a fully encrypted FHE compliant function. In base AI, this decision making function is managed by something called a temporal fusion transformer, or TFT, enforcer, which is trained on time related data from the network, such as transaction times or rewards. The TFT enforcer is excellent at understanding complex patterns over time within this data. So, what the FHE, right? So basically, I is introducing, okay, this decision making function, which is this TFT, okay, decision making function is crazy, by the TFT, which is trained like on time related data, you know. And so what it does is it'll start taking the information that we are giving it and it'll start evaluating that, okay? And it'll start understanding the more complex, you know, the pattern, it starts understanding. And over time, it gets better. It'll learn on all that input that we're giving it. It's kind of like the Kekbot. I don't know if you guys have messed around with the Kekbot on the Telegram. And that thing was absolutely insane. Like, I started, you know, quote unquote, helping it train. And I started with very simple input. And it, you know, cool. It learned it. And then, like 2 days later, I went in to put like what I thought was a way more complicated input. And that thing was like, all right, bro, like, give me something that I haven't seen before. I'm like, oh, I was like, okay, all right, buddy. So the same way that's gonna happen with this here, it's gonna learn in a very exponential way. So the network is made up of many of these TFT functions, each representing a validator that holds a stake in the system. These validators work together on a shared machine learning goal. I thought about this and I'm gonna tell you guys who else does this, which is super genius, where their contribution are weighed based on how much they've staked. The goal is to distribute rewards fairly to those who help minimize the overall error in predictions or decisions. And I thought about that. I was like, wait a minute. So this TFT function, it connects the, you know, the different validators, right? I would imagine that this, to a certain extent, connects all the other brains, okay, so that everybody is, it's kind of like talking to each other, learning from each other, so that eventually they all, you know, come to the same understanding. Okay, this is, you know, this ought to be, you know, the way, you know, this is the way to do things, or this is the output of, you know, whatever input you put in. So what I thought about was Tesla. I don't own a Tesla. I've read up on it. I've heard, I know people that have Tesla. And so Tesla, what it does is when a certain car goes through a certain area, it kind of maps out that area. But then what the system itself does is it sends that information back, I guess, to the Tesla central mainframe or whatever. And so this information then goes out to any other Tesla that has not been in that area. And so it knows that area before it's been there. Okay. It's just crazy stuff. So it's like a learning, you know, between all these cars, all these, you know, it's, think of every single Tesla as a different brain or a different validator, and they're all communicating with each other, you know, mapping out the roads of the entire world. You know, I've been through here, you know, the next time another Tesla goes by and they are on autopilot, it knows exactly what the road is and it just tracks it as it ought to. Crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. I mean, I think that's the best example I can give at the moment. And so finally, the system aims to make sure that this reward distribution can be easily, can't be, okay? Can't be, okay? This is what they're trying to do. They don't want this to, this distribution mechanism must be resistant to collusion and manipulation. So the system aims to make sure that this reward distribution can't be easily cheated or manipulated. Guys, this is absolutely insane. I completely love what I'm hearing, what I'm actually reading in this white paper. If you're not excited, I don't know what to tell you. But this is this is what I've decided to invest in. I've been investing in BasedAI for a few months now. And the more that I look into it, the more excited and the more my conviction grows that I have actually made the best decision, okay, of putting my money in this. And I want to show you guys one last thing before I let you go, and it is the price of BasedAI. Now, let me refresh this because the price has been dropping. Look at this. This is with what we've been learning, okay, in the last few videos. Do you guys really believe that this project should be this low? Under $75 million. If you don't see an opportunity in front of you, like this, I honestly I don't know what to tell you. Most people compare BasedAI to Tau. So let's take a quick look at BitTensor here, Tau, and look at this market cap. Almost $2 billion. Okay. Look at the price. I mean, get it, you got the circulating supply is very low and all that. Like, I get it. But, I mean, think of BasedAI at a $2 billion valuation, right? So let's just do that real quick. So let's take 2, 3, 3, 3. So we got $2 billion divided by 75 million. And it'll give us almost a 27x from where it's at right now. 27x from where it's at right now, $2.10, gives you $56. So honestly, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys, but to be super, super stoked about this project. We're going to continue learning and more videos to come. I just hope that this information is super, super helpful for each and one of you. I know I'm sorry the video is going long enough, but you guys, what if if mainnet goes live, next week? And, maybe by now you've already decided, like, yeah, this makes all the sense in the world, so, but sorry for those of you guys who don't really have much time to dedicate. But at the end of the day, remember, this is your own investment. It's your own journey. And whatever time you put in is the amount of, it's what you get out. So thank you for watching and for your the subscription, for all the support, for the comments and all that. I'll see you in the next video. Have a great weekend, everybody.